YOLO. Ain't worried about no FOMO. Coin market cap out the crash on my lap when the bitch bounce back like a pogo. No fiat dough, I got Divi coin, I got Bitcoin, I got Ether. What y'all know about a pump and dump? John McAfee all on my Twitter.
Welcome to R2 Satoshi's podcast, where Billy and I, Justin from Crypto Fizz, discuss latest news in the crypto world, what's coming up, what our thoughts are, and we love taking feedback from the crypto community. We actually got some of our some decent feedback this week on our Discord channel, Billy.
Yeah, so I actually woke up to a comment. This guy came in. His name is escaping me right now. I think actually you're familiar with that.
Zlatan forever.
Yeah.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
And he was saying that one of us sounded like Bill Clinton. And I was like, man, that's probably me. My name is Billy too, so that'd be kind of perfect. But then he basically went into detail and said, no, it was the person that opened up episode 5.
Which happens to be me.
Which is Justin.
So that led to
better.
My wife and I trying to figure out if I actually did there for a while. So we'll give it a go right here, and you can comment below on which one of us you think either sounds like Bill Clinton, whether we don't sound like him at all, or whatever. Well, we wanted to do a shout out to Zlatan on this. So Billy, take it away. Let me hear your best Bill Clinton here.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
I think that's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. We'll see what it sounds like on the podcast. Here I am put on the spot, so I'll try it right now. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. No, that was bad. That was really bad.
Oh, no, that sounded better than mine. It really sounded like it. Like you did sound like Bill Clinton when I was playing the podcast from my cell phone, like in bed. So I don't know if it was like the audio from the phone that was doing it or what, but yeah.
Well, I love that you listen to me in your bed. That's great.
I know.
So
one step up.
So let's jump right to this week. So the first thing on our docket today is an article that you wrote last week. I had actually done a video about this probably 4 or 5 months ago. Didn't post it on Crypto Fizz, but basically just helping out the community, teaching them how to set a limit sell order on Bittrex. I mean, you can do this on other exchanges, but we frequent Bittrex a lot. We frequent other exchanges as well, but Bittrex is definitely our main one. But yeah, I mean, mainly you want to set a limit sell order so that you minimize your losses. And I love the headline that you started out with, kind of draw attention there. But Billy, you want to kind of elaborate a little bit on that article?
So, for one thing, it all comes down to like providing value. Presenting these tools that our readers and listeners can use. So I was watching the Olympics and came across that French figure skater whose top came loose, and it made me start thinking about
I don't know why I wasn't watching the Olympics at this time. It's like the one part I missed, and
the one moment. But I don't know why, but like immediately I started thinking about, I think it was Mike Tyson that had the quote, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. So then I started thinking about, what can you do to protect your downside? So it was just kind of like this random thought, and then it kind of segued into, well, why don't I go ahead and recap some ways to kind of protect that downside. So if you go into the article, I just kind of go through and took some screenshots of like step by step how you essentially execute it. I mean, this basically comes down to, if you're not holding long term, you want to have some kind of safety net. So if you use that kind of stop loss tool in conjunction with some of our chart reading, looking at the support levels, you get a pretty good idea of where you need to be, where your sell order should be.
Well, let's elaborate a little bit on that. Like, first of all, what's the name of the article? So if people go to our site, they can check it out. Actually, it'll be linked below in the podcast, but it's Gabriela Papadakis, right?
Yeah. Gabrielle Papadakis. What a wardrobe malfunction can teach us about risk, with a very attention-grabbing image.
very attention grabbing image. So, so we definitely got some good traffic from that, and outside of the crypto world, but in the crypto community, I mean, to kind of just too long, didn't read, make it short and simple. When you're making a purchase in a various coin or token or whatever, and it's going to be sitting on Bittrex for a little while, you can do what's called a limit sell order. And you can put a limit sell order saying, if the price is less than or equal to this number in Satoshis, place the sell order. Now, what you're going to do a lot of times with this is if you're taking a chance on something and saying, hey, I think this coin, is going to do really well. I think, it's going on a run right now. Let's say you purchase it for, as an example, 5,000 Satoshis. Okay. You make that purchase, and then you can set what's called a limit sell order where at, let's say, 10% below. So you set a limit sell order that if that coin drops to 4,500 Satoshis or less, sell that for you. Now, yes, you are technically taking a loss at that point, but you're only taking 10%. You're minimizing your risk. So you can take a 10% loss in something. And actually, I was listening to the Tim Ferriss podcast last night, 17 Questions. Billy, we talked about this. And he actually talks about this not in the crypto world, but he talks about he purchased a home and then he had to move out of that area. And that home, he was like, this was in the downturn of the market, and he was like $150,000, in the hole on this house. So his friends talked him into getting somebody to rent it out for him, which he said was a major headache. And he's like, here I am losing this money, in this house, and now I'm trying to minimize my losses and get my money back by getting somebody else to rent it out. And then he came to the conclusion of, well, do you have to make your money back in the same way that you lost it? And
right.
That's kind of the point of this, is that you get into a coin that's going on a run, you put a 10, let's say 10%, 5%, whatever you want to do, a limit sell in there. Yeah, it may sell, you may take that loss, but it's going to minimize your loss risk right there. And then you can take that and you can flip that into something else that's going on a run to make back that little bit of loss that you had there. You don't have to make it back in that particular coin or investment there.
Well, and something else to think about too, and I kind of brought this up previously about stress levels. And so for me, there's nothing better than having something work while you're not looking at it. So I just love kind of set it and forget it functionality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
if it drops and you're not watching it, you're screwed.
You can't be sitting in front of your computer at all times. You have to have a life.
Exactly.
You've got a phone in your pocket, but you still can't be checking that at all times if you have a life. I mean, and your finger's not faster than that computer. So, or those bots or whatever that's trading on these exchanges. So
exactly.
Check out the article if you're new to crypto. Check it out if you're doing any trades online. This will definitely help you save a lot of money. Before there's been times where we didn't have limit sells, where we weren't even doing that much, and we've had some losses, and this has definitely helped minimize the losses since we put this into practice. We pretty much 9 times out of 10 you're going to have a limit sell in there just in case.
Exactly.
Yep. So definitely check out the article. So our next article, and this is actually a new segment that we're going to be doing on our podcast. So we're going to be starting a new series here called Chain of Influence. Basically, these are going to be articles where we reach out to leaders at different, cryptocurrency startups, companies, etc. And we're going to detail their project and what they're doing a little bit, but we're also going to be asking them questions outside of the normal cryptocurrency realm. So questions, like, for instance, we had Power answer some of these questions this week for us, and Power answered questions along the lines of, people are doing this, blockchain is touching every industry right now. How does your project better humanity?
Well, it kind of ties back into not to cut you off there.
No.
It kind of actually ties right into Tim Ferriss. It's kind of like what he does. He likes to deconstruct and dissect various industry performers, whether they're you know, gymnasts, race car drivers, whatever.
And you'll
So,
see a lot of similarities between them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all about finding some like unique content, right? Like finding like that next moon article is great, and we're going to keep doing those things. But there's also more to it. So we want to get into the minds and, you know, the thought process behind these founders. Like why they even jump into crypto, how they get into crypto, what are some of their favorite tools, tips, whatever.
What did they do before that led them to being able to be successful in the crypto world like this? You know?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to try and extract all the information that's not already out there. Like nobody else is doing this yet, and if they are, tell me where.
Exactly. So 3 of the questions that we posed, and we're still building out our list here for the other CEOs and founders that we're going to be reaching out to. But basically, we asked Power 3 questions, and those were, if you look at the current landscape, it appears that in every industry, blockchain technology is being mentioned or tested in some way. Based on what your team is attempting to accomplish, how does your project change lives and make the world a better place? Now, this was kind of a softball one for Power, because Power is working on renewable energy and everything, and sharing of that, and you know, all across the world. So that was a pretty easy one for them to answer. But I'd love to, you know, get a take of, like, I don't know, let's say Edgeless or Funfair, or, you know, some of these other ones that are like building casinos. How are you bettering humanity with this? You know?
Right. Exactly. Well, I loved. There was their one response. Let's see. Okay, here it is. Yeah. So we're providing to utilities that sustainability can be profitable, and we're giving power, quite literally, back to the people. I thought that was kind of I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but that was kind of clever.
That was cool. Yeah.
There's that too.
Yeah. And they had great answers. These are, you know, the other 2 questions that we asked were, you know, individuals, groups, teams, and companies define success in different ways. Some based on profit, time constraints, community feedback, etc. How do you know when your project is a success? I mean, and that's true with everything. I mean, you know, like, I guarantee you, if you ask Ripple, how do you know if your project's a success? Probably going to give you some answer like, well, money movement is going to be easier across the world. No, Ripple's going to be a profitable. You know, they're going to make money from this.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a bunch of banks are going to be invested in them. Like, that's, you know, that's going to be a success for them. But that's different for different companies. So, so that was, you know, that was a good one to pose to them. But it's going to be great to get the perspective from all these different cryptos on things like that. You know.
Exactly.
And then kind of the final question, and I stole this question a little bit from a Business Insider article that I looked into. And basically, the Business Insider article said, you know, you would ask a CEO, how does your company deal with problems? Because every organization is going to have problems. And like I mentioned in the question was, all organizations, no matter how they run or the makeup of the team, encounter problems. These could be internal team conflicts, product issues, financial concerns, and a number of other things. When problems arise, how does your team solve them? So the way the Business Insider article really portrayed it, which hit me like a light bulb right when I saw this, is all companies deal with problems, but knowing how they handle them can tell you a lot about the internal workings of the organization.
Totally. Yeah. Is it Animal House in there, or is there some structure? What's going on there?
Exactly. So I really want to thank Amy Regis. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly there. She is one of the community managers over at Power, community and marketing manager at Power. And I had actually reached out to Dr. Green, the CEO of Power, and she pointed me to Amy to have these questions. So Amy did an awesome job answering these. We are going to be having the Smart Tailor CEO, Fabio, on in 2 weeks. We're trying to schedule it right now, but tentatively it's scheduled for in 2 weeks. We're going to be having him on a podcast for the Chain of Influence segment to be answering, you know, questions surrounding Smart Tailor, but also these 3 questions along with about 7 to 8 more that we're going to be developing that are outside of their coin specifically, and just helping you understand, you know, what steps did Fabio take to get to this point to where he can be the CEO of this company? What experience does he have in the background? You know, what are his thoughts on various things? So it's going to be really action-packed, and we're going to couple these with articles as well. So it's going to be different, as Billy said, from your "When are you going to moon" article. We're doing, asking them some really hard-hitting, thought-provoking questions that's going to really give you insight into the organizations that they run.
Yeah, and I'm curious what our viewers, readers, listeners think about these questions. I mean, if you guys have anything in particular you'd like to find out, join our Discord group. Hit us up.
Definitely. And what we're going to do, modeled, after the Tim Ferriss podcast, is it's going to be the same questions every single time to every CEO, every, founder. So that way you see where they align, where are they different, and you can really get these insights to them. It's going to be pretty awesome. I'm super, super stoked about this and super excited.
Yeah. Next level.
Yeah, exactly. So the last thing to talk about with our upcoming articles, I say the last, I'll throw out there, I'm going to be creating a guide this week. I don't know what the guide is going to be, so I'm not really giving you much information here. It's going to be somewhere along the lines of, either how to use like a wallet or how to use the Brave browser or something like that along those lines. So we're going to start building out guides on our site as well. So if you have, you've had trouble in the crypto community doing something, if you're new to crypto and you've had problems depositing money on, Bittrex or something like that, and you'd love a step-by-step guide, hit us up, leave a comment, join our Discord channel and leave it in there, and we'll start to build these out based on what the community would like. If we don't get any feedback right away, then we'll start building them out on what we think and then just go from there. So the last part there about our articles this week that Billy's really going to dive into here is we've really gotten excited lately about masternodes, and Billy is writing some articles. He started it out. He's going to be putting out part 1 soon. So Billy, I'm going to let you take this away and kind of elaborate a little bit on what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm not going to do a cannonball here. I might dip my toes a little bit, you guys a preview, but so I guess it kind of started with, I started seeing the term masternode everywhere recently. Most recently it was because of Sys. Syscoin's going to be launching their masternode within the next month or so. And so that got me thinking, well, do I need one of these? I mean, what is a masternode? Because then I saw that, Dash has masternodes, Wager has oracles, which are essentially masternodes. So I started poking around, and so basically, for one, to understand what a masternode is, we need to understand what a node is. So basically, a node is like a point of intersection or a connection in a network. So it could be like one of us that's running like an actual wallet, and we're running the actual client on the blockchain. So we're actually participating in this network. And so the masternode is essentially that, but you have to have a certain amount of coins, and that depends on what the given project is. So I think Sys is like 100,000 coins, somewhere around there. So some of them are very expensive. Some of them are really cheap.
Let's put out a disclaimer there. Sys masternodes aren't released yet, just so you all know. Exactly. They're coming. They're going to be coming out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm hopefully going to be first in line there. But so basically, the masternode kind of gets paid out just like a miner does for staking these coins and helping with governance. So it gets pretty deep pretty quickly, and I don't want to jump too much into that here, but I just want to kind of make an introduction to it. And there's actually a website, masternodes.pro. It's pretty interesting. It's kind of like CoinMarketCap, where it gives you this table of various coins you can get a masternode in, how much it's going to cost you, what the return is per month, per year, stuff like that. So that's candy in a candy shop there.
So let me ask this point, because you did the research on it, but I've done a little bit this over the past week or two. So basically what it is that, like Sys as an example, or I was looking at one called Sparks, which
Mm-hmm.
I mean, invest at your own risk and everything. Who knows if coins like that will be around in a year? I don't know. Maybe it'll be great, whatever. I'd be much more inclined to invest in something like Syscoin that their, parent company Blockchain Foundry is going to be going public this year on the, from what I hear, on the Toronto Stock Exchange. So, it's a legitimate company and it's going to be around. But I was looking at Sparks. So Sparks, for instance, you have to get a certain amount of coins for the masternode. And then what you do is there's a whole guide to this, but you have to get a virtual private server online, and you basically got to set up their code on that server to be the node. And that's where what will happen then is you being a masternode on the network, you will get a portion of all the transaction fees or?
Yeah, so it actually depends on its project to project. So most of them, it comes down to block rewards. So there's quite a few that basically split it up more or less 50-50 between the miner and the master node. And so some of them get the reward, and some of them also get a portion of the transaction fees. So it all depends on the project.
Isn't Syscoin going to be doing 75% to the master node, 25% to the miners? That's what I read.
I think so. Yeah.
So basically the whole deal is if you are looking at making some passive income in some ways in the crypto world, the masternode might be one of the best ways to go about it. You've had all the threats this year, the closing of sites like BitConnect and things like that promise you a return, but you really don't know how they're generating their revenue. Well, with masternodes you do, and you have full control over it at all times. So I would suggest if you're looking into something definitely look for Billy's articles that are going to be coming out this week, because they're really going to dive deep into it and tell you the ins and outs.
Yeah. So the first article is going to be kind of like a primer, like here's what's going on, here's the resources, here's a few ideas of what you can jump into, and then the following one's going to be like an actual guide where I'm going to go through and screenshot my process of setting up one of these master nodes. You can get one for like $77, not counting the hosting, which is pretty cheap itself too.
It's only like $5 or $10 a month for a.
Yeah, it's super cheap.
I mean, you can probably. I mean, we use it at work. We use DigitalOcean all the time. Outside of our CryptoHiz world. So.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's all I have for that. I don't want to give away too much here, but.
And that'll be coming out tomorrow, right? Your initial primer.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. So check out CryptoFizz tomorrow for Billy's part 1 of masternodes, and I want to throw this out there. Not taking anything away from what Billy does or what I do or anything, but if you have experience with doing these and you look at our guide or look at our articles and you have suggestions for things maybe that we didn't cover, leave us feedback. We are more than willing to update our articles, update anything based on what the community. So one thing before we jump into some of the news this week we want to cover is we covered this on our last podcast real briefly, but we are a verified publisher for the Brave and Basic Attention Token Network. Check out, we have some great articles on our site. Brave is probably the best browser I've ever used in my life. Billy, You concur?
Yeah. So for me, one of the main things besides look and feel is performance, and it is the fastest browser I've ever used.
It's amazing.
No lie.
It's amazing. And we'll have a link below on the podcast where you can click to download it for free. Brave is awesome. Check it out. Blocks all those ads, trackers, everything automatically built in. Even cool part about it is it already has like the major password keepers online that people use built into the browser. So that's awesome. And you can, easily import all your stuff from Chrome, Firefox, whatever that you use. Check it out. It's the team that created Firefox. The founder of Basic Attention Token and Brave created JavaScript. It's an amazing product. Check it out for free. Not most products that are awesome like that are free. So check it out. You don't got to pay a dime. It's awesome. There's a link below to this podcast.
Be brave.
Be brave. Be brave. So let's talk about some news over the past couple days, week since our last podcast. One of the main ones here is that Coinbase, you either hate them, you love them, whatever, they finally implemented full SegWit support. So what does that mean? What does that mean, Billy?
Faster transactions, cheaper transactions.
Yeah.
From a really high level, the block size got like 4 times bigger. So more transactions can fit into one block. Don't ask me anything deeper than that because I'm not a freaking scientist.
Well, I can tell you this. I remember back a few months ago trying to transfer money from Coinbase that I did have someone there. And I remember the fee to transfer Bitcoin at the time was like $108. It was insane for what I was trying to transfer. And if you actually look, so the peak average fee in December on Coinbase to transfer was $37.49. February's peak is at about $4.35.
Nice.
So with the arrival of SegWit, obviously it's going to keep the transaction fees much lower like that, which always is a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very happy about it. And they have to keep competing. I mean, they had to do that. There was way too much blowback. I mean, you have like services like Robinhood coming out that are doing free trading. Like, time to step it up.
Yeah. I don't know about Robinhood, so I'm not going to, shit on them at all, but I was reading today a bunch of people that use Robinhood, the free transaction exchange.
Like the Robinhood knockoff.
Exactly.
And then Robinhood came out and like did the actual thing.
So they were they present themselves as being this zero transaction exchange. But I was reading on the forums today on Reddit and various different places that people are freaking out because they may be free for transactions, but the withdrawal fees are like insane. So they're going to get you one way or the other. So definitely do your research before you jump into any of this.
Yeah, that's a good point. Read the fine print.
Well, I mean, I know when we talked about Robinhood initially at launching crypto, you had said that you read where they were looking at it as making zero profit from it. Basically, it was just bringing them, new users.
Exactly. Yep. Those kind of public statements. Like they basically said, we realize that we're not going to make a profit on this, and that's totally fine because we're going to be bringing in millions and millions of new customers.
Yep.
So, smart.
Hey, yeah, definitely smart. So the next thing that happened within the last week, which I don't know whether to laugh at, I don't know whether it's going to be legitimate. No, but
Petro.
Yeah, Venezuela launched their first cryptocurrency, which is called the Petro. That's supposed to be oil backed.
It's like what, $60 a token?
Yeah, and they sold 100 million.
Yeah, it's supposed to correlate like the price is like roughly actually the price of a barrel of oil as well. But yeah, I don't know, it's kind of silly to me. Like it's just, I mean, it's a fully centralized token, government controlled. But
there's so many things about this.
Yeah, it's like, so they have one currency, the Bolivar, that's now pretty much worthless. And so what they've done is created a cryptocurrency that they've made out of thin air and tied it to a barrel of oil. But what does that actually mean? Like, is it actually tied to a barrel of oil, or are they just saying that? So basically, they're making money off of this quote unquote barrel of oil that hasn't been pulled out of the ground and refined. Like, we promise. This barrel is down there somewhere.
If I send them one token, will they send me a barrel of oil to my house? Like, I mean, why are you? I just don't know there's so many things that I could say about this. Like, I feel for the people in Venezuela, first off. Not too long ago, I was reading an article where the government was looking at, the food supplies were so bad down there with the money and just all the issues. So they were actually looking at, like, could rabbit meat feed people and stuff there? Like,
yeah, and well, I saw today that like they actually won't let the U.S. come in with any kind of aid packages. Like, nah, we're good. but you can only buy it, from what I read, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I read, you can only buy this petro with the US dollar.
Well, the US dollar runs the world.
Yeah. So people in Venezuela can't buy it. Like, it doesn't even, like, they're promised a piece of that oil supply because they're oil rich. So this is one way of creating a loophole.
Well, I think the other big
So they're
loophole in
still
it that some of the senators have been talking about is the fact that the reason that Venezuela won't let us come in with aid packages or the U.S. come in with aid packages is because, one thing is we have sanctions on their country and we've tried to overthrow their president, Maduro. So that's probably the reason why.
Yeah.
One of them.
Yeah.
But I read a lot of senators are looking at this and thinking that them creating this crypto is their way of getting around the sanctions.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense.
Yeah, because there was something like the country used to be rich until basically Maduro did all the things that he did, and then oil dropped off the face of the map price wise. So now they've only got like something like 10 billion in reserves in the government, but yet they owe like 60 billion to like foreign countries or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is one way to print money, hop on the bandwagon. It's funny though, like, despite the fact that I've, read all this, like, there's a piece of me that still wants to buy one. Like, well, why not?
Yeah, well, I'd buy one. What the hell?
I'll buy one.
So when we come up with fizzies, the crypto fizz currency, to just raise money like Venezuela did, definitely jump on, guys. No, that's just totally a joke. But
unless you're willing to do it.
Exactly.
Joke.
So we'll see how that turns out. I don't know what,
We'll see. Show.
Yeah, totally. So the last piece of news that actually came to the forefront today before our podcast was, and I'm going to butcher this name.
Yeah, but Poloniex or Poloniex?
Poloniex, the exchange. I've used it before. Was actually
French?
Purchased. I don't know.
Oui.
I think the EX on the end is just exchange. That's what we'll just slap an EX on the end of it. That's exchange. And it's like
Poloniex.
Polony. The Bologna exchange. Bologna exchange. So that was actually bought by Circle today, or acquired by Circle, which is a Goldman Sachs backed startup. Billy, you actually said you've messed around with Circle before, right? Or you read into it a while ago?
Yeah, so I haven't actually used any of their services, but I read about them way back, and I say way back like it was about a year and a half ago. So Poloniex, whatever you want to call it, they're one of the first big exchanges in the crypto space. So then you have this, retail-faced company, Circle, backed by Goldman and who was the other one? Like it was like a Chinese company. Baidu. They're backed by Baidu as well. So essentially now you have this powerhouse, this fully regulated powerhouse that is now even more furthering the what's the word I'm looking for? It's making the crypto space even that much more legit. Like now you have, a Goldman Sachs backed company putting its foot down saying, all right, let's do this.
Well, what's interesting to me about them is they are what am I trying to say here? They're a way that you can send payments worldwide via text message and all that stuff. And you could actually buy cryptocurrency through their application before. And now they're going to have the exchange backing them. So it's creating this entire ecosystem right there where you've got this exchange that normally, what do? You buy coins on exchange and then you probably transfer it to a wallet. Well, this is going to be like you buy it on the exchange. This app is your wallet, is what it sounds like to me. You can then use this to transfer it. So it keeps it all in one little ecosystem right there.
It was a really smart move. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this, right? We're going to see a lot more of this combining of different companies, different projects. I think we're going to see a lot more Wall Street jumping in and trying to snag up these little startups instead of building something in-house. So it's going to be a fun space to watch. Well, this is not the last time this is going to happen.
Well, and the other thing is back in October, I don't know if you saw this, but back in October, Circle actually acquired this investing app called Trigger Finance. So Trigger Finance was developed, it was actually in Morgan Stanley's Multicultural Innovation Lab as a participant in that. And basically, and the people are from Cornell's engineering graduate school, the founders of it, but it was a real-time financial notification application. So people were like tracking, U.S. equities, commodities, cryptocurrency, etc. And this was a notification one to let you know, like, hey, what's going on, things that are happening with that currency, with that asset, with that commodity and stuff. So you've got Circle that's acquired that, that's now acquiring Polo, as I'll call it. So it's right now, Polo is, I think, number 14 on global exchanges, cryptocurrency exchanges with the amount of volume. So hey, this is pretty exciting to me, honestly.
Yeah, this is really cool. Everybody's trying to get that retail consumer, everybody's making that grab. Yeah, especially now that Robinhood jumped in.
Well, and this just leads to the fact that, if it keeps getting mainstream like this, we have the potential of, in the future, potentially Bitcoin ETFs, things like that, big Wall Street money coming in, 401ks being based on Bitcoin and other, cryptocurrencies. This is a great year to be into it. If you're just getting into crypto and you think you missed the boat, you haven't. This is just the start.
Yeah, I remember saying that back in 2014.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Because look, so Bitcoin's a lot faster now. We're having a lot more people jumping in because there's less of a barrier here. You have all these consumer-facing apps that allow you to jump in a lot more easily. So now you have faster, cheaper, easier to get into, a lot more lax regulation. It's going to be a great year.
Yep.
And I've been seeing a lot of people actually on StockTwits talking about how they still think we're going to see 20K by the end of March for Bitcoin. And I don't know, it seems a little crazy, but I can kind of see it happening.
Yeah, it could totally happen. I mean, who knows? Who knows? I mean, it looks like we've hit our support levels of where we're at, right around 9 to 10K. So,
yeah.
I could see an uptick from here. Obviously, I'm invested in a lot of altcoins, so I want the altcoin market to start moving up. So obviously, for them to move up, Bitcoin needs to move up. You're going to see some red. You're going to bleed a little bit probably why Bitcoin's doing that, but
yeah, I think we're going to see. And I kind of mentioned this a little while ago, but I think we are going to see Bitcoin create this cup and handle pattern, where it's kind of like this big U shape, drops down just a little bit, and then rockets up. I think right now we're kind of right at that bottom part of the U. We're going to start climbing up, I think, in the next couple of weeks. It's my prediction.
Yeah, but we're not financial advisors, so do your own research.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about, but
so
I guess.
That's going to be our podcast for today. We will be having obviously another podcast next week. Check us out on Google Play Store, iTunes, soon to be Spotify, Overcast app,
Discord.
Every various place that if you're a podcast listener out there and you look in whatever app that you use and we're not in there, comment below and we will make sure that we get registered with that provider. We are trying to get registered everywhere. So if you can't find us, we want to know. Thanks for listening.
Join our Discord, man.
Yeah. Join our Discord. We're in there. We're available at all times. I say all times. Billy doesn't sleep, so he's manning the channel throughout the night hours. No.
Even if I'm drunk.
Yeah. No, but definitely join our Discord, hang out with us, and give us feedback. we'll keep these podcasts going. Love you guys. Catch you later.
Even my son told me about the dip, ain't talking about what you put on potato chips. Even my son told me about the dip, ain't talking about what you put on potato chips. I buy the dip, dipping. I buy the dip, dipping. I buy the dip, dipping.